Hello, Justine Dandria here with Bible Journaling Ministries creative team, and today we're going to be using the printables from Psalms 24 through 25. This is included in your Momentum membership, or it can be bought separately in the store. Today we're focusing on your traveling and being able to bring along your supplies and using what you bring. So you might want to bring your watercolors that you can use on this page, or I'm going to be using markers and that I've put into a Ziploc bag. And you want the Ziploc bag because we're going to use that in today's project. Some glue, whether it's glue stick or your wet glue. These are colored pencils, but they're watercoloring pencils so that you can either use them as just regular pencils or you can go ahead and activate them with some water. And we do that by using, you can use a regular brush, or if you're not close to a water source, you can go ahead and use these water brushes that are filled with water. So, and they come in different tips. So the tips are some are wide, some are smaller. Um, and basically, and of course your printables. But that's basically what I've used today. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's get started. I'm fast forwarding it so that you don't have to sit here through me coloring. um, I'm using colored pencils, and in this particular part of the video, I am actually just going to use um, regular colored pencils, and I'm going to use a blending um, pencil to go ahead and blend the colors. So there's a way that you can blend it with a blending pencil, or you can blend it with by act excuse me, by activating the colored pencil that is a watercolor pencil with water. So I like to um, blend different colors into when I'm coloring with colored pencils. So I'll start maybe with the lighter color, and then I'll add a little bit of other darker color to add some depth or texture or whatever to the um, picture. So right now, that's that pencil that I'm using. I bought on Amazon. It's a blending pencil, and you'll see the difference when you use it. And I'm going to give you a little tip, and I don't know which um, video is going to come first. But when you're sharpening your pencils, do not throw out the um, the shavings. And that's just a little, and that's why I'm showing you so much of me doing it. It's a little tidbit, a little teaser of what I'm going to be doing next in my next video. So, we're talking about traveling with our supplies, and of course, the less supplies you bring, the easier it is. And there's so much that you can do with your colored pencils, especially if they're watercolor, your markers, and some glue, and of course, your printables. Um, you can get several uh, um, devotions out of this one printable. And if you're new to Bible journaling, those are your basic tools that you would want to start with because it's just a comfortable area that we're used to using, and it works. So I'm just having some fun and coloring my little sea creatures here for Psalms 24:25. I'm going to go ahead and read the verse that we have here is Yahweh, how many are your works. In wisdom you have made them all. The earth is full of your riches. Isn't that true? There is the sea, great and wide, with all which are innumerable living things, both small and large animals. Isn't that crazy when you think about it? How many different animals are in the sea? I mean, we have so many here on the land. How many different animals are in the sea that we don't even know about? It's crazy. So just have some fun and color different colors. You don't have to be realistic. You can just have some fun and spend your time with the Lord. I like to color. Do you doodle? I doodle. I doodle when I spend time with the Lord too, depending on kind of like my mood. But this is a perfect time to just because you're not really thinking a lot about the art part of it. You're thinking more about the verse and dwelling in that verse, meditating in that verse, and just thinking about, maybe picturing the sea, picturing the bottom of the ocean and the colors and all the things that go on in it, um, in the sea. So I'm going to give you a little bit of music as I continue to color. We're going to do the background of our page. The first thing you want to do is gesso. I'm using clear gesso and a nice layer, um, thin layer of it. You don't need it too thick. And the reason why I'm putting gesso is because when I use my marker, I want it to be able to move around a little bit. I don't want it to absorb directly into the page right away. So I'm just using a paintbrush and spreading a thin layer on the whole page. I'm using markers that I have put in a plastic bag. We're going to take the markers out of the plastic bag and we're going to make the background of an underwater scene. So I'm using my marker and I'm just kind of making squiggly lines, not close together, because these are going to represent kind of like the movement of the ocean um, under the water. giving it a little spray of water, and then just placing it down and lifting, and then placing it down again. Plenty of paint or marker on there to use twice. And I'm giving it a quick dry. You want to make sure you dry in between each um, layering of the marker because you don't really want it to mix, unless you want it to mix, I guess. This in this particular case, I didn't want it to mix together. I'm going to use a darker um, color blue that I have, wiping off your Ziploc bag and just repeating the same thing over. And I'm going to place it in between the waves that I already have. Well, I say waves, but they're kind of like just water. Because you know, when you're looking through the water, you see different colors, different shades of the blue. Might even be cool to add maybe a little something else in there. I don't know. Again, and making sure that you allow it to dry because we're going to be covering it with, we're going to be actually drawing over it and then using our colored pencils to add just a little bit more effect to the page. So it's kind of like a layered mixed media uh, project. Mm. Okay. I am going to add some stickles because there is that glistening under the water. You see a little bit of glitter. So I'm just adding some white stickles that I just made a huge mess out of. I'm using my fingers. I like to use my hands. I don't know. I don't mind getting messy. Some people don't like it, but I don't mind. And I'm just randomly placing it over the page, and I'm gonna go ahead and use some blue to maybe making dots to look like bubbles or something like that. I've decided to um, go ahead and use a paintbrush to spread it a little bit more even. There, can you see on the page? It just kind of gives it a little extra effect. And just using wipes that comes off very easily. Yep, here I go. Here's my bubbles. I'm gonna make some bubbles. Just little dots. So again, the whole idea is to make it look like water and use your imagination and make it to whatever you feel it should look like under the water. But we are going to add some elements um, to the page also by drawing. Once your um, page has dried, we're going to go ahead and do our coloring of the seaweed. And I'm kind of basing it off of the graphic that Tracy gave us. I like to challenge myself to do that, especially when it's something simple and it'll add to the page. So basically, I'm just doing squiggly lines. I'm using a Stabilo um, pencil. And this is also, it's like a watercolor pencil, but it's a little bit different. It's got a more smoother texture to it. But it once it gets wet, it does activate and it will become a lot darker. So if that's not the look that you want, then you might want to use just a regular um, outlining pen or pencil or whatever. I'm also going to do that type of the seaweed or whatever it's called. So first I'm going to draw in a couple spots um, where I think there might be some seaweed growing. And you don't have to be perfect, just play with it a little bit. and add some in, making it thinner up top and a little thicker on the bottom, just kind of swirling it a little bit around. There we go. So like 4 or 5 different things. And I'm just going to go ahead and speed that up for you so you can see the process that I do. Um, I will go ahead and again, I'll do some of the lighter colors and then I'll do around the edges, I'll do a darker color. So like a lighter green in the middle and then throughout I'll put the darker color and then I'll go ahead with um, my brush and I'll activate the pencil and then it kind of blends it all together. My water brush. You can use a regular brush if you like, but as you see there, the black Stabilo brush kind of like, um, I think it adds, I like the way it looks. At first I was like, oh no, I just ruined my my page, but then I don't know, it just adds some depth to it, I think. So I chose to put 4 um, of the seaweed bunches around, and now I'm just going to go in and put this other cool little seaweed thing. And I basically am drawing a straight line up and then kind of like some oval pieces on the side to kind of represent the foliage. Kind of just sporadically putting them along the line, but making sure that I'm putting one on the top. Then you could go all the way up into the picture if you want, and you can make them clustered. So I'm going to speed it up again for you. I like you to see the process, not necessarily sit here and be bored through my process. But I really think seeing the whole process, is helpful. And that's kind of like why I record the audio. Part of it is because I'm so focused when I'm doing my art that um, I would probably forget to talk. So I'm adding orange first, and then I'm going to go ahead and add red and yellow and kind of like just making it the prominent color the orange, but adding a little bit of red and yellow to the edges or the circles or whatever. And they'll blend all together again when you use your water brush. And again, I use the Stabilo, so you'll see there that it just kind of adds some really cool, it looks different. So let's see, what else can I say to you? You'll see a little bit of shiny on there, and that's because in the beginning, I actually put some stickles on it, and to kind of represent water too. But I realized that that should have probably happened at the end because as I was drawing, um, it kind of messed up the pencil a little bit. So if you want to add some glitter, some stickles or glitter or whatever, I would say do that at the end. But whatever you want to add, you can even add sequins, kind of just to add a little bit more to the page. So let's see. Anything else I could say? So these printables are in your Momentum kit. If you're not part of Momentum and would like to be, just go ahead to BibleJournalingMinistries.com and look for Momentum, and you can check it out there. Also, you can purchase it as a separate kit if you're a person who likes to color, or you don't have to use pencils. You can use your markers also. Um, so there's so many cool things you can do with markers also. It's just not one area that I've kind of traveled into. I'm sure I will eventually. I kind of tend to go towards colored pencils or watercolors. And also, if you didn't have markers and you wanted to get that look that we did in the background, you can use your watercolor paint. And I would actually just do the same thing on the Ziploc bag and just adding the paint to that if you feel like you want to have a little bit more control over it. Well, I don't know. Do you have control over it? Maybe not. So you can go ahead and maybe even use just the whole watercolors. You can paint your printable print your printables on watercolor paper. Woo! And then you can add them that way. And you didn't have to do pencils. But we were just focusing on, you know, things that we can bring that we can do several different things with the item as you travel. So I'm just going to finish these up and I'm just going to quickly add my little guys. It might have looked good because I have the illustrating Bible. It might have looked good to use the bigger ones too, but I chose to use the little ones. You can also add the greenery if you wanted to add that in. Ta-da! Ta-da! They're all there. That was quick, huh? So I just placed them in fun positions. That cracks me up. All right, my friends, I really appreciate you watching the videos, especially if you watch them all the way through. Wow, you get an A+ for the day. And if you're crafting along or and you decide that I love it when I see your finished projects, even if I just inspire you to do one type of thing of what I'm showing you. That's always fun to see. But remember to like and subscribe and to visit the website if there's some other things that you'd like to check out as far as momentum or as far as the kits that are available. I think that's all I have to say. Again, don't forget you can add stickles or sequins or anything like that that you'd like. But this is a pretty basic page, and don't be afraid to give it a try and have some fun and challenge yourself to do a little drawing because you'll be amazed at what you don't realize that you can do. All right. Take care, everyone, and we will see you soon.